Glover Teixeira being a 42-year-old man, he does not look 42. This looks to be the peak of Glover. Just the best version of Glover we've seen, it feels like. This is a guy who just is dominating at pretty much everybody on the ground. His stand up is just awesome. He's got very good boxing, good kicks, and then his ground game is just incredible. And he ran into a modern day samurai, Jiří Procházka. Jiří is he's from the Czech Republic, just an incredible fighter. He fights, every single, I think he's had 28, 29 wins, and almost all of them, for the most part, have been knockouts. He goes into 5 rounds yesterday. I know he has never done that in the UFC. I don't think he's ever done that in any other organization as well. This just crazy. This fight, the output. I watched the whole fight, but I can't break down round by round. That's not necessarily my thing, but overall, Glover was putting Jiří in a lot of dangerous situations on the ground. Before this fight, it was kind of, this is a really good grappler versus a really good striker. And Glover was putting him in a bunch of dangerous positions. Glover gets top mount on people, and they usually do not survive. And somehow Jiří did this repeatedly in the fight. Not like he got in these positions where it looked like he was going to get out of there, and he just survived. Did enough. He's just such an athletic guy that he was able to explode out of a lot of positions, using the fence with his legs, just kind of, flip Glover. And, there was one point where Glover landed this just super clean elbow, and it cut Jiří's, entire eyebrow line. And it looked like a pretty gnarly cut. He just continued to fight. I think that was in the second or the third round, and he kept going through it. And then, Jiří's just on the stand-up. He's just got such a wild style. The way he's constantly switching positions. He's not like any. I can't think of too many fighters that are of similar style, because he's throwing these strikes at just all kinds of different angles. You have no clue. Is he going to throw a strike with his legs, with his hands? Where is it going to come from? Because he's just constantly moving so much. And it just makes. He's a great counter striker. It makes for a fun fight. And, Glover pushing forward, trying to utilize the grappling. There was a few moments in the fight where Jiří kind of got caught on the ground, and, he was able to get out of it. And then there was other moments where it was like he had hurt Glover on the feet where Glover was on the ground, and he was willing to kind of engage in the ground positions. There was a point in the third round or something where Jiří had gone for a submission, and I think everybody was just like, "What are you doing, dude? Why are you going for a submission?" And before the fight, I was talking to my brother, and I said, I can see Glover catching Jiří because Glover has very good stand-up. I could see Glover knocking Jiří out, or I could see him kind of wobbling Jiří and then submitting him on the ground. And then on the same token, I can only see Jiří winning by knockout. I don't think anybody saw Jiří having any chance of winning by submission. I think he has maybe one other career submission win. And Glover has never been submitted in his career either, I don't believe. So, literally just this back and forth war. Glover's winning the fight overall. I think on the stand-up, Jiří clearly had a good advantage. He's just throwing some crazy stuff, and the power that he was landing with, he's landing these body shots that you could just hear echo. And honestly, it reminds me of when they were fighting, not even recently at the Apex, because they've been fighting with, I don't know, a couple hundred fans. This remind me beginning of the pandemic, the Ngannou Rosenstrike fight. You could hear everything. Every time these guys connect, you could hear it. Jiří's throwing with so much power that you could hear it like that. It was a really fun fight to see. Some of the body shots Jiří was going at. There were points in the fight where Jiří had just completely wobbled Glover, but Glover's got that I don't know, the will of some of these guys is just incredible to see, because Glover has it. It's kind of the same thing we talked about with Charles Oliveira. It's you can hurt these guys really badly, but if they are not completely knocked out, you're in danger at any point in the fight. And Glover showed that. He gets hurt and then he initiates grappling situations. And in the fifth round, it seems like Glover kind of had this. Depending on how people score the fight, I think like on the official scorecards, I want to say one guy had it as a draw and the other two had Glover up a round. But like going into the fifth round, Glover was winning this fight, in my opinion. And in the fifth round, Glover was just doing some crazy damage to Jiří. Both of the guys were just completely gassed. Even Glover's like takedowns later in the fight, he wasn't having as much success because he just didn't have the energy in him. And in the fifth round, he just landed some bombs. He had Jiří hurt really badly on the feet. And at one point, he decided to go for a guillotine choke instead of continuing the finish, and he probably could have on the feet. And, I don't know if that necessarily was the moment that he lost the fight, because I think after that, he even wound it up in full mount position. But, like, that was kind of like obviously, you could say it's a mistake now. Glover's been through that tons of times. He could have submitted him very well as well. So, I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. Just from watching the fight, like, it felt like he should have tried to put him out. And then, he ended up being in a compromising position because Jiří's, like, his grappling is just so much better than we thought. And he's able to kind of get out of that full mount position, and then he was able to land some big shots on the ground, and then eventually take Glover's back and, submit him with a rear naked choke. And he didn't have like his legs in, his hooks in, or anything, and it was just a crazy. It all happened so fast. Honestly, like even in Glover's last fight against Yan, like he submitted him pretty quickly. Like in this one, I didn't even see like where Glover tapped or anything based on the camera angle. But just like that, 30 seconds left, I think 28 seconds left, something like that, and Glover was about to retain his belt, and he lost it to Jiří. And like Jiří just to win like that was incredible. And then after the fight, Jiří kind of said this was just a bad performance on his part. In the post-fight interview, like in the press conference, he kind of was breaking down like he wants to be the guy who's attacking, going for the kill. And in this fight, he felt like he was trying to survive. And I think that's a good outlook on it. I agree with it for the most part. As fans, though, it's like, dude, that was the best fight ever. What are you talking about? But also, obviously, it's like if you're in the fighter's shoes, you probably don't want to be in any kind of fights like that. It's grueling on your body, and you're taking a bunch of damage, and you're really like on the edge of could you win or lose at any point in the fight. Jiří kind of, but for Jiří to win in that fashion was just crazy. Just an incredible fight. And I know people are kind of calling for an immediate rematch. I'm not saying I don't want to see a rematch. I do like to do an immediate rematch, especially when you have a champion who was just defending his belt for the first time. I don't know if that's necessary. I think you give them each a new matchup. Maybe you make the Jan Blachowicz versus Jiří fight, and then maybe you do Glover versus Anthony Smith, the winner of that fight that Anthony Smith's going in next versus Ankalaev. I don't know, you could very well make the Glover rematch. It was that good of a fight. I'm not going to get upset if you do so. I'm just saying there's a bunch of different routes you could go with this stuff. I do not understand why people are talking about Glover like, he's 42 years old, so they just kind of like reference retirement and whatnot constantly. And it's like, I get that he's 42. Most guys do not fight at that age, or, they're right around retirement. I think DC retired around that age. But it's also like, he's performing like at the best that we've seen him, and he's 30 seconds away from retaining his championship belt, being the best 205 pounder in the world. I don't think that's an indication that it's time to hang things up. I think it's the opposite. I think he can, get another win and he's right back into the title picture. Glover's, they're both incredible to watch. Loved that fight last night.